Greetings. If you follow a lot of my writings about technology and economics and the inherent difference between technological innovation and an innovation producing business versus an inert commodity such as oil, natural gas, gold, silver, etc., you've probably noticed that I'm a big fan of tech companies and innovation that arises from technology-based practices, because that is a test of atom purity, so to speak, or effectively whether something is rising exponentially per unit of input. Whereas a commodity, by definition, is inert. And that's why I often say that any bet on any inert commodity, especially gold or silver or some other quote-unquote precious metal, is an outright bet against all technological progress, because we have reached a point in the evolution of the technonomic medium of the world where any rise in price is met by an even more rapid increase in supply of gold or silver or oil or natural gas within a relatively short time. That time is getting shorter and shorter, and the ceiling of price at which that activity is triggered is also getting lower and lower. And that's why oil has had trouble staying even above $100 a barrel, even though $100 a barrel today is a lot less in real terms than $100 a barrel in 2007, which is when it reached that threshold the first time. The same goes for gold. Gold is about the same price as 10 years ago. It's actually trending downward somewhat. And here is a chart of the stock market, blue line, and gold, orange line, going back about 40 years, 42 years, 1980 to present. So the stock market, US stock market with dividends reinvested and all that, is about a 4,000% gain, while gold is only about a 200% gain. And gold is not less volatile. It's not like you didn't have volatility despite this low return. It has the same volatility but lower overall return. At least the stock market makes higher highs and higher lows, and you will not spend too much time before getting back to your all-time high in the stock market, especially if you dollar cost averaged in, which is what I advise people to do. Be it an index, dollar cost average in. Super simple. That is by far the best risk reward profile, simplicity profile, psychological peace of mind, tax simplicity, lowest chance of IRS audit, everything for the average person. Now here's the thing about gold. A lot of the people who buy gold thinking that it's an investment, they thought that this was a hedge against inflation, and nothing could have been further from the truth, because 12 years of quantitative easing has kept gold at the same price. So we go from this 40-year chart to what is only a 12-year chart. So 12-year chart, almost no gains for gold. So this inflation hedge type of narrative doesn't really even hold water anymore. So now the Goldbugs, as defined by people who just want to believe that gold is a great investment but can't really explain why, or are happy to keep changing their excuses about why gold does not rise in price, now have a new game they're playing. They no longer claim that gold is an inflation hedge. Now they say that gold is what people will go towards when there is a major catastrophic crisis. As in the world is about to end, then people will pile into gold. Fine, that's the last remaining thing that could cause gold to temporarily go up, except that's still a one-time thing. Gold goes up somewhat from that point and then stays flat again, because it did actually rise in 2009 and 10 for that reason, but then it failed to rise after that. So let's go to a clip from Mark Cuban explaining why gold is not something an investor should actually be interested in, and people who buy gold are not really investors.
You think are some of the safest bets for your money right now?
Safe? I mean, you got to look at your own financial situation.
I guess the reason I use the word safe is for my next question on gold, up 2.5% for the first quarter. I know in the past you've seen it as a speculative bet. How do you see it today?
I hate gold. Gold is a religion. There's some fundamental value to gold, but everything else, it's a collectible. I see gold and Bitcoin as being the same thing.
Well, hate is a strong word.
Okay.
So the miners too, all of gold, the whole gold spectrum?
Individually as people, I've heard they're great people. But as an investment, okay, you're right. Hate is not strong enough. Hate with extreme prejudice as an investment.
Oh gosh. Okay, so Bitcoin and gold on the same level for you.
They're both collectibles.
Okay.
And the bad news about gold is they'll keep on mining more.
Well, Goldman Sachs says that we only have 20 years left of mineable gold.
Well, then in 20 years we could have another conversation.
So you don't see gold as money then?
No, I do not see it as an alternative to currency. No, not at all.
Let's turn to Facebook now. Segue.
But let me say it one more time. Hate with extreme prejudice is not enough. hate with double extreme prejudice with that ounce of hot
Where does
sauce.
this hate for gold come from? Like, did it do something to you in a
No,
past
just because I
life?
knew it was so important to you, I know you.
Do you feel the same about silver? Or is there any metal you like?
Yeah.
Palladium, platinum?
No,
you
I
wouldn't
mean,
touch it?
I think, I don't know those others as well, but those are pretty much based off their intrinsic value as much as I can tell.
So you're in the camp of gold is just a pet rock.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. All right.
So that was Mark Cuban, and he's 100% correct. Goldbugs are not investors. They're people who like gold because it looks nice and it makes them feel good. And they keep making excuses about the returns. And the reason it is taking on cult-like properties, because that clip from Mark Cuban was in 2018, but now these goldbugs are getting desperate. Examples of things I see goldbugs doing include claiming that gold went up when it didn't, hoping that you won't check and that you'll just take their word for it. So they're effectively lying and hoping you won't cross-check it. And the other thing they do is talk in dollar terms, not percentage. So if gold goes up on a certain day, they will say it rose $17 today, even though that's just 1%. $17 of an increase on a $1,700 per ounce price of gold is a 1% increase. But they speak in dollars to make it appear like there was some huge rise. They're hoping you never actually look at a chart like this. And the entire thesis of Goldbugs is to never see charts. When I challenge Goldbugs, you can tell they never actually even look at the chart of gold. Or they'll say that, well, gold is up 50% from when I bought it. And I said, okay, when did you buy it? 20 years ago. So that's about 2% a year. To be up just 50% in 20 years is terrible. But that is what is happening with Goldbugs right now. Their narrative is shifting away from inflation hedge to end of the world hedge. Now the problem with an end of the world hedge is that all the nihilism and pessimism inherent to believing that gold is an inflation hedge and that inflation is inherently bad no matter what, and that deflation is good, is that an end of the world hedge makes you even more pessimistic and nihilistic and puts the gold bug in a position of hoping that everything crashes and burns. And that is very psychologically unhealthy, because even if they happen to be in gold at a time when it spikes up temporarily, they're hoping for the harm of millions of people's lives, and that will cause negative psychological effects that will have adverse impacts on other areas of their life. They may lose a lot of relationships, their health will take a decline, because ultimately the human body is governed somewhat by whether a person really wants to live or does not. The body takes those signals and acts accordingly over time. So that is a very unhealthy psychological state, but that is what gold bugs have become. They have become a cult. Now the metals thesis may sound a little bit more intelligent, but some people will say that gold has an essential purpose in electronics. That's why you should buy gold. No, that's not a reason to buy gold at all. Because if you think electronics are going to do well, you should buy the stocks of those companies that you believe are releasing good electronics products. Or better yet, a technology index like the NASDAQ, so you're not picking stocks. They talk about silver for the same reason, but silver has also underperformed in exactly the same way that gold has for the same reasons. When price becomes high enough, then the technologies to increase supply have a bigger market window to get working more quickly, and then the price goes down faster. And that is how the world is very different than it was in the 1970s or 80s, when we did not have a technonomic medium that was so advanced. Now, less expensive metals are more interesting because they're closer to fundamentals and not speculation. If you take copper, for example, or aluminum, yes, those have industrial purposes and so forth, and price fluctuations there aren't ones that necessarily trigger technologies to increase supply very quickly. And even so, that is commodities trading. You should instead still be in knowledge-based businesses for which copper and aluminum are inputs, for example. But at least that thesis is somewhat more intelligent, because the gold bugs aren't in that discussion polluting the whole discourse and lowering the intelligence level of the entire medium of discussion like they are with gold. You may wonder why someone like Peter Schiff still has a lot of followers, because all he does is recommend gold. It has not gone up for the 12 years that he's been recommending it. In 2012, he said it would be $5,000 soon, and here in 2022, it is only $1,670, so about 1/3 of where he said it would be 10 years ago. Yet he says that he's been right a lot, and a lot of his followers, who are very low information people, also insist that he has been right, because they're never looking at the charts. Anyway, I hope this video was informative in telling you about the last reason why gold could have a step up in price, which is fears about a collapse of the entire system, and that is the one last big jump in gold that is still possible. Of course, you should not hope for that, and even so, that will only be a one-time jump. That doesn't mean gold is good immediately after that. And remember, gold is a bet against the ongoing robustification of the system as well. So that's not a good thing to root for anyway, even for your own psychological well-being, even if you don't care about any other human being. But if you like this type of content and you found this video to be informative, then I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much for watching.